Wisdom, the final frontier to true knowledge. Welcome to Wisdom Trek, where our mission is to create a legacy of wisdom, to seek out discernment and insights, to boldly grow where few have chosen to grow before. Hello, my friend. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your captain on our journey to increase wisdom and create a living legacy. Thank you for joining us today as we explore wisdom on our second millennium of podcast. This is day 1458 of our trek, and our focus on Fridays is future technologies and societal advancements. So we call it Futuristic Fridays. My personality is one that I've always been very future-oriented. Since my childhood, I have yearned for exploration and discovery of new technologies and advancements for the future. I grew up watching the original Star Trek series, and even today, on my 64th revolution around the sun, I still dream of traveling into space. Each week we will explore rapidly converging technologies and advancements which will radically change our lives. At times, these topics may sound like something out of a science fiction novel, but each area that we will explore is already well on its way becoming reality over the next couple of decades. To keep with our theme of Ask Gramps, I will put our weekly topics in the form of a question to get us on track. So this week's question was the same as last week, and it is, Hey Gramps, technological advances are moving so quickly. With the world population growing briskly, how will technology impact food in the future? So today's segment will be The Future of Food, Part 2. Last week we focused on the first part of exponential technologies and how they are impacting food production. This week we'll continue exploring how food production is rapidly changing. I am using some of the information mentioned in Peter Diamandis' blog and his book, The Future is Faster Than You Think. Let me ask you a couple questions as we get started today. Could a hamburger grown in a lab from Kobe beef stem cells be cheaper, better tasting, and healthier for you? Can you imagine a future where millions of square miles of pastoral land are reclaimed by nature, creating new forests and revitalize the Earth's oxygen making? Last week, we discussed hyper-efficient food production systems of 2030. This week, we'll continue that discussion, but from a different perspective, because by the end of the next decade, we may witness the end of industrial animal agriculture as we know it. Through the convergence of biotechnology and ag tech, we will witness the birth of the most ethical, nutritious, and environmentally sustainable food system ever devised by humankind. So let's dive in today. The first area we want to look at is cultured meat. Meat production is often problematic. A quarter of the planet's available landmass is currently being kept by 20 billion chickens, 1.5 billion cattle, and 1 billion sheep just to keep them alive. That is, until we kill them and eat them. We also have to deal with the waste and byproducts associated with butchering of animals. Here are some statistics that may open your eyes. 1 out of 7 Americans will go to bed hungry tonight, yet farm animals consume 30% of the world food crops. It is even more exaggerated in developing countries. Worse is the water involved. Meat production accounts for 70% of the global water use. Compared to 1,500 liters required to produce a kilogram of wheat, it takes 15,000 liters to produce a kilogram of beef, meaning that there's enough water in an adult steer to float a U.S. Navy destroyer. While the next stats may be debatable, it is projected that meat production is responsible for 14.5% of all greenhouse gases and a considerable portion of the deforestation problem as land is cleared for pastures. So what is the solution as meat consumption continues to rise throughout our world? One answer is cultured meat, which is a meat grown from a few cells into a full-blown steak. Cultured meat is produced by taking a few stem cells from a live animal, typically via a biopsy, so the animal isn't harmed. Then we feed these cells a nutrient-rich solution. Then we power the whole process in bioreactors. Give the industry a few years to mature and the technology a few years to shed cost, and finally we can produce an infinite number of steaks to feed an increasingly carnivorous population. As with emerging technology, there is still a number of hurdles to overcome in this process, but we are fast approaching the point at which converging exponential technologies will enable the transformation of today's food system. environmental issues aside, cultured meat has the potential to become far more cost-effective than conventional meat. It will soon compete with the latter on almost every market-oriented criteria in existence. For starters, cultured meat production is mostly an automated process without much need for labor or land. And you think about it, it takes a few months or even years to grow a cow on farms, but only a few weeks to produce a cow's worth of steaks in the lab. It's much more than just steaks. The meats in development range from pork sausage to chicken nuggets to lamb to filet mignon. It all depends on which stem cells you start with. In late 2018, for example, a company called Just Foods announced a partnership with Japan's Wagyu beef producer Toyomana to develop cultured meat from cells of what has long been the rarest and most expensive steaks on Earth. What is possible with cultured meat is also true for milk. Perfect Day Foods, a Berkeley, California-based company, started by two founders with a passion for cheese, has figured out how to make animal-derived products without any involvement from cows. Combining gene sequencing and 3D printing and fermentation science, they've created a line of animal-free dairy products. So what does this all mean? These food changes will bring about a fundamental reconfiguration of the way that we source, consume, and pay for food, with a much lower environmental cost. So what are some of the other benefits? Such a transformation will revamp our world in ways that we've only begun to imagine. Imagine what it will mean as the world population grows to over 10 billion by 2050, which is only 30 years from now. The reduction of resources alone is considerable. Cultured meat uses 99% less land, 82 to 96% less water, and produces 78 to 96% fewer greenhouse gases. Energy use drops somewhere between 7 and 45%, depending on the meat involved. As an example, traditional chicken ranching is much more energy intensive than conventional beef ranching. Now let's think about this. If we can free up a quarter of our land mass, we will have more land available for humans. We can also reforest this land, providing sufficient renewable materials to support that growth. While that's a lot of numbers to consider, what they all add up to is astounding, and ethical and environmental solution to population growth and world hunger. It is also a much healthier solution. As we will soon be growing steak from stem cells, we can do what seemed impossible in the past. We can make a fast food hamburger that is actually good for you. We'll soon be able to increase essential proteins, reduce saturated fat, and even add vitamins to that hamburger. Another huge win, cultured meat requires no antibiotics. Given the danger of diseases like mad cow disease, the next generation of meat consumption will be far safer for the humans, reducing, if not eliminating, the food industry industrial hygiene challenges. Since 70% of emerging diseases come from livestock, by turning to cultured meat, we'll be both lowering global disease burden and decreasing the risk of another pandemic. What will food be like in 2030? Well, over the last 2 weeks, we have explored how converging exponential technologies will revolutionize one of humanity's most basic needs. By the end of this next decade, anyone, anywhere, will have on-demand, ultra-cheap access to lab-grown beef, which will be far more nutritious than livestock-derived products, with a near-zero carbon footprint and safety guarantees. As we've all had to adapt during the COVID-19 pandemic, we may not always want to venture out to shop for these products. The rapidly changing exponential technologies in food production will allow us more choices. The rise of vertical farms, autonomous drone networks, and last-mile delivery enhancements will make food delivery to your doorstep sourced from a lowland-use food production center. Local foods will truly be local. Either that or you can download physiology-optimized recipes to your in-home food 3D printer. These exponential food technologies are starting to sound like Star Trek food replicators already. While traditional agriculture has experienced shifts and industrialization, growing food has roughly been the same since the beginning of human history. Soon to undergo one of the most monumental technological revolutions in history, our food system is about to be leagues more efficient, ethical, and sustainable than ever before, not to mention far healthier. In just a few years, humans will become the first that derives our protein from other animals, yet doesn't harm any animals in the process. Meat miles, and that is the transportation costs involved in moving meat around, will nearly disappear. Slaughterhouses may become a story that we tell our grandchildren about. our planet is already significantly strained for producing enough food under the weight of 7 billion people, we'll have a fighting chance for food abundance as we grow to 10 billion people by 2050. Even with all these exciting food technologies that are coming in the next couple of decades, we know that as Christ followers, we do not have to be anxious or worried, for God will take care of us. He may just use some of these technologies as His instrument. In Matthew chapter 6, verses 25 and 26, we are told, "That is why I tell you not to worry about everyday life, whether you will have enough food and drink, or enough clothes to wear. Isn't life more than food, and your body more than clothing? Look at the birds. They don't plant or harvest or store food in barns, and yet our Heavenly Father feeds them. Aren't you far more valuable to Him than they are?" And that's a wrap for today's question. Join us again next Futuristic Friday as we look at virtual reality from deception to disruptive on our Ask Gramps episode. Our next trek will be Meditation Monday, where we will help you to reflect on what is most important in life. So encourage your friends and family to join us and then come along with us on Monday for another day of Wisdom Trek, Creating a Legacy. If you'd like to listen to any of the past 1,457 daily treks or read the associated journals, they are all available at wisdom-trek.com. And I encourage you to subscribe to Wisdom Trek on your favorite podcast player so that each day will be downloaded to you automatically. And thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and create a great day every day. See you on Monday.